Well, welcome everyone. I hope that you are excited to add some AI functionality to a Storyline 360 course today. We're gonna do more than I told you in the email. So we're gonna add a voice-powered simulation really quickly. Then we're gonna add an AI coach that can support people while they do that voice-powered simulation. And we're also gonna publish it as a SCORM package, upload it to SCORM Cloud, and watch the score from the simulation report back to the learning management system. So we're gonna cover a lot of ground. I will show you what we're going to build so we all know where we're headed. And I have a lot of templates and everything to share with you. So it should be fun, should be very builder focused session. So if you want to fire up Storyline, this will be a good one to follow along with. But the replay will be available. So no worries if you cannot follow along in real time. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to demo what we're going to share here. So here's what it looks like on its own, but here it is in SCORM Cloud. This is a really good tool for testing SCORM packages. So right now, as you can see, there is no score reported. We're going to launch this course. I'm going to make it a bit bigger so we could see what's going on. Shout out to Sabrina Gonzalez on our team for building this template for you all in just a little bit of time. She had some fun with it, added like the logo to the character shirt. So this is an AI-powered coach. Right? The coach says, if you have questions during your call, you can reach me by selecting that icon. We've seen this pattern before, but now instead of the coach having like pre-canned suggestions, the coach is AI powered so we can have a dynamic conversation with them. So we're going to start a call with this character. I got a little meta with it. This is an instructional designer. We're talking to them about this devlin.ai simulation builder tool. And while we're talking to the character, we will be able to ask the coach for help. So pay attention to how these two interact, right? The coach provides real-time support in the middle of the conversation.
Hey, thanks for jumping on. I looked at the site, but honestly, I still have no idea how this is different from things I already use. So let's just get into it.
Sounds good to me. Let's get into it. What questions do you have?
What does devlin.ai actually do? Like technically, not the pitch version.
Well, devlin.ai is an AI practice layer that lives inside the course. Your learners don't need an AI account, and it scores against a rubric and reports directly to the LMS.
Okay, practice layer. What does that mean in practice? What's the learner actually doing?
The learner can talk to an AI-powered character instead of choosing like pre-selected answer choices, for example.
AI-powered character? What does that actually mean, though? Can you be more specific about what the AI is doing under the hood?
Yeah. So it's like a real back and forth conversation with an AI character. So again, I'm going to stop this here, but that's the idea, right? It's a little hard in real time, but the coach can provide that real time support. It's much better pace when you're doing a text-based simulation and you can talk to the coach in real time. But I'll show you my favorite feature of all of this. So it evaluates how you did. You can continue. And now we're back with the coach. The coach just received our results from that simulation, and now the coach is debriefing with us. So it's saying, right, it's finished. You got a 63%. You didn't pass. You were honest and grounded, no hype or overselling. Here's what I want to explore with you. When Kathy asked what's the learner actually doing, you gave her an answer, but look at where the conversation went next. What does that tell you about how she received it? She seemed to think that AI powered was a buzzword, maybe. So notice now how the coach's tone shifts when we're in this debrief mode. So instead of just telling us the answers and telling us what we did wrong, the coach tries to ask some questions and let us arrive at the deeper understanding. All right, so I can have this debrief back and forth for as long as I'd like. I can exit. And now in our learning management system, we should see that 63% reported to the LMS, and it's a fail because it wasn't over 70%. So I'm going to check in with y'all in the chat. Some of you may have seen some of this technology before. This may be new for some of you, but yeah, what are our thoughts, right? Does this seem like it would be hard to build? Would you believe me if I told you we can build all of this in like probably realistically 20 minutes or so on this session? You wouldn't believe me. Okay. Okay, well, we're going to do it right in front of your eyes. So, is everyone ready to go? I'm going to share a resource with you. It's going to have a template that we can get started with. It's just a storyline template with some triggers already set up. So we're not starting from a blank slide, but all of the AI functionality we're going to be building very quickly. So I just shared the AI coach session reference sheet. It has some guidelines for you. On that reference sheet, there is a template for you to download. So I'm going to share my screen again, and we are going to get started on this thing. Okay, and now let's do it. So here is this document that you all have access to now. I linked to the finished simulation you just saw me complete in case you want to try it for yourself after the session, but you'll be able to build it for yourself, so no need to even use that one. And now use this link right here to download the storyline template. When you first open it, if you don't already have the outfit font on your system, it will just default, go back to the default font. That's okay. But in the example I shared, it uses a font called outfit, which you can download right here. I would suggest doing that after the session. We don't really need that to follow along. And then once you have the storyline file open, it should look like this. You will also want to go to devlin.ai/login. So over here, here's the link right here. So devlin.ai is what you use to build the AI-powered simulations and coaches, and then they integrate really nicely with your storyline experiences. So once you're on this dashboard, or if it's your first time logging in, you will see a screen like this. You're good to go. We need that open, and we need storyline open. So if it's your first login, it will already bring you to the new simulation screen. If it's not your first login, go ahead and click on this new simulation button. We're going to really quickly generate that voice-powered simulation so that you can have it for your own storyline project. So you've downloaded the storyline template. We are logged into devlin.ai. Now we're going to create this voice simulation. So on the new simulation screen right here, we can give the simulation a name. We're going to call it Overcoming Objections, Earning the Yes. So you can just copy and paste these fields into this AI-powered simulation builder wizard. The learner is a solutions consultant at devlin.ai. Again, I got pretty meta with it. We do not have a solutions consultant role. Maybe if some of y'all do really good on the simulation, I need to consider that. I'll be keeping an eye on the performance. And then we're going to copy this few paragraphs right here to describe how this AI simulation should work, right? So Kathy is a tech-forward instructional designer. She's on a call to evaluate devlin.ai. And so we're saying she's going to raise 3 of these 4 objections on any given simulation. And we're going to have it change a mood variable in storyline so that we can change Kathy's mood based on her mood changes during the experience. So you paste that right here in the description. Once you have all 3 of these fields filled out, you can go ahead and click on Generate Sim, and it will take about 45 seconds. And it should take about 40 seconds for the simulation to generate. It will fill in all of the details for you. And again, we've done live events where we go much deeper into how to create a voice mode simulation. Like 6 weeks ago, I think is when when we did our last live event, and we showed you how to build a voice sim. That wasn't even out to the public yet, and now we have a lot of new features to share with you. So this piece we're not going to take up too much time with, but I just wanted to show you how to generate one if you haven't already. Should be done any minute now. Okay, the simulation is ready. It gives you a screen where you can actually try it. So we can, go back and forth, chat with it, see how it responds. But I'm going to continue to the editor. And this editor is where if you really want to fine tune the simulation, you can give it more specific context, describe the exact behavior triggers. So right, when the learner answers an objection with a specific explanation, the character will acknowledge the point and say something like this. So again, the AI filled in a lot of details for us. All we want to do on this screen, though, towards the top is click on Enable Real-Time Voice Mode. We will click on I Understand because it uses a lot more credits. And we can just leave the voice as Bella. Now I'm going to press Command S on my keyboard to save, or Control S if you're on a Windows computer. That's a nice shortcut we added. If you don't want to use the shortcuts, though, you can just click Save Changes. And then we will go to the Publishing tab. Or no, let's go to the Visual Editor tab, actually. And we're going to make this simulation go in light mode. So like you saw in the demo, we wanted it to have that white background instead of our typical dark background, just to fit with the theme of this storyline template a bit better. So I'm going to click on light theme right here. And then I'm going to click on Save Changes. You can probably see the demo out to, or the preview of what it would look like out to the right, but I'm super zoomed in just to make it easier for everyone to see. So I need to zoom down to see what it will look like. So yeah, nice light mode version of our branding. And then finally, I'm going to go to the Publishing tab, and I'm going to scroll down to grab the Storyline 360 embed link. Okay, so we can see these are the storyline variables that the simulation is capable of changing, just like we told it to in that prompt. We fed it. It added some additional ones, but I'm going to keep scrolling down until we get to step 1 of this storyline implementation guide, and I'm going to copy the voice variant URL. So make sure we see the one that says voice variant. It's the second one here, and then click on copy URL, and now we're going to hop over to storyline. So copy the URL, head on back over to the storyline template that you downloaded. And we are going to go to slide 1.3. So we can see there's no simulation here right now. We need to embed it. So once you're on this slide, you can go to the Insert tab and then click on Web Object. And then you can paste in the link that you just copied. Right, so that's all we need. We are going to click on OK. And then just resize it to fit nicely over here on the right side of the screen. This is where the simulation is going to appear in the course. So we want to make sure we give it enough room. It's not too cramped. Try to center it over this button. And we should be good to go. So I already in this template have some of these triggers set up. These triggers aren't new. These are triggers that we set up in a previous workshop. We reuse the same character. You might recognize our character, Kathy, here. But yeah, some triggers are already set up. And then also notice this JavaScript bridge trigger that is set up on the title slide. This is the most important trigger in the course, I would say. It's one line of JavaScript, and it connects the simulation to your storyline course so that it's capable of changing all of those variables. So yeah, feel free to explore the template on your own. We're not going to go into a ton of depth with that on this session because we've already covered that in a previous one. But again, with this template, all you got to do is drop in the web object. And I will show you over here in the document. We're moving right along. So we did this to generate it. Then we configured it, right? We enabled real-time voice mode. We chose light theme. And then we also embedded it inside of Storyline. Notice I even linked to the previous document and live event if you want to get more details on how to set up voice mode. But we want to get into the new stuff, right? Are y'all ready to get into the new stuff? For those of you who are following along, are you ready for us to move on to the AI coach? So we're going to look back into devlin.ai. And now we're going to go to this coaches tab on the left. Okay. So once we're there, we can scroll up to the top and click on this new coach button in the top right. So there's no fancy AI wizard for this one yet, but it's a lot smarter than you'd expect. So for the coach name, we can name the coach Julie. The role is a devlin.ai, or we can just put solutions consultant. And for personality, let's just make it engaging and encouraging. You can obviously add so many more details here if you'd like. The welcome message, the default is, hi, I'm here to help, ask me anything. You can change that if you want. You are not required to. We can also double click on the title up here to change this. Julie, devlin.ai, solutions consultant. So there we go. I'm going to scroll down because this is new. Okay, so now we can change the coach's guidance level based on whether the coach is supporting the learner in real-time mode, which is what you saw when the coach was on that layer, and we could talk to the coach while we're talking to the character. We can make that direct. So the coach gives specific, concrete guidance with example phrases, straightforward about what to do and why. Because if we're on a call and we're talking to the coach, we need that help fast. We don't want them to be asking us, what do you think is the right thing to do here? Now, in a text-based simulation, that might make more sense because there's not that added time pressure. I also added an update where in real-time mode, if we're talking to a character over voice, the coach knows to keep their responses to like 1 or 2 sentences and be really brief. And then we can also set the guidance mode for the debrief. So this is after the user completes the simulation and they want to talk to the coach about how they did, and the coach can let them know how they did on each criteria. It's coaching by default. So the coach can like ask them questions, help them arrive at the understanding. So there we go. So the defaults are good here. I'm going to save those changes. And now we can obviously just paste in raw content right here on the content tab. There's a better way to do it, of course, which we'll get to soon. But we want to link this coach to the simulation so it knows, so it gets a lot of information about that simulation and can actually help users with it. So when we link the simulation, I'm going to click that button, and then I'm going to select this overcoming objections one that we just created. And so this is where we can set these settings and see this option here, share grading criteria during live sims. So while the coach is supporting your learner, the coach can see the exact evaluation criteria for the simulation that they're completing. Okay, so I'm going to just do one more thing. I'm going to go to the visual editor and I'm going to choose a light theme so it matches. And then I'm going to save changes. And then I am going to publish. Once it's published, once you've clicked that button in the top right, you can go to the publishing tab and grab this Storyline 360 web object URL. Okay. So yeah, while we're here, let's go ahead and copy that URL for Storyline 360, head back over into Storyline, and now go to this Coach Julie layer on slide 1.3. Right. So right now this layer is blank. Clicking this button obviously brings us to this layer, but we're going to insert the web object on this Coach Julie layer. So go to the Insert tab, click Web Object, paste in the URL we just copied, click on OK, and then resize this embedded, resize this web object so it fits nicely inside of this frame. Okay, this is looking pretty good to me. So there we go. And we need to do this in one more place. So we just added it to the Coach Julie layer. Now we also want to add it to the end slide on layer, or on slide 1.4. You might see there's this sim feedback text box here, which we can show if you didn't want to use the coach. It just gives like canned 500 character feedback based on the user's performance. But we are going to hide that, and we're going to insert this web object once again. It's the same exact URL. Keep it nice and easy. And then just resize it to the box again. So really just copying and pasting stuff into Storyline, and then everything's going to magically work. Good idea on learners choosing their own level. Would love any recommendations or any suggestions, right? Inside of the app too, there's this feedback button in the bottom right. I love all of the feedback I get that way. So I decide which features to build directly based off of your suggestions and feedback. So if you want to see the tool do something that it doesn't do already, please let me know. Okay, so I'm going to do Command S in Storyline now to save the Storyline file because we are done. Okay, this will work now. If we publish this, the coach can support us in real time. So I'm going to click on this little preview dropdown and then click on Publish, and we'll test it together. And we're going to publish it to Review 360. It no longer works locally on your computer. So if you publish it for the web, you would have to actually upload it to a web server to test it. So we'll just do Review 360. I'm going to select Publish. Should take just a minute or so. Yes, Star. Yeah, this is a really good use case for sales training where a lot of our early like enterprise leads and clients, they're using it for sales training. So yeah, I wanted to do a little lightweight sales training practice. So I'm going to hop back over to my browser over here. I'm going to paste in this review link and let's see this in action. Okay. Do y'all think it's going to work? Right? How long has it been? Like 13 minutes, and that's with a lot of explanation included. So let's see how we do. Good. Yeah, good idea, Leanne. We have some people using it to not just help people prepare for interviews, but to help their interviewers practice interviewing applicants. So very good for that. And yeah, I'll wait for questions, but I'm excited to get to them. So we're going to start the call. Here we go.
Hi, thanks for making time. I'll be honest, I've been burned by AI tools that promised a lot and delivered a fancy chatbot. So I've got some questions before I decide if this is worth my team's time.
Completely understandable. Let's dive into your questions.
All right, so give me the quick version. What does devlin.ai actually do, and why should I care?
Well, devlin.ai adds an AI-powered practice layer to your existing e-learning courses or directly into your LMS. So it adds a lot more dynamic practice for your learners.
Dynamic practice. What does that mean specifically? Are we talking about quizzes, simulations, something else?
Yeah, exactly. Simulations. So you can create an AI-powered character, and then your learner can practice them. So if you're training salespeople, they can practice talking to potential prospects. If you're training customer service agents, they can practice talking to angry customers. And yeah, the customer responds based on whatever the agent is saying.
Okay, so it's conversation-based practice with an AI character. That's more concrete. How is that different from a branching scenario I'd build in Storyline? Because I've been
Okay,
doing that
watch
for
this.
years, and my learners get realistic practice without needing an AI subscription.
Okay, so it knows based off of context. I'm going to end this here. But notice that we didn't give the coach any context, right? We didn't give the coach any knowledge. So I want to show you that piece next. But yeah, so it works, right? Obviously, the coach was providing that real-time support. The coach knows how the learner is getting graded. And I think I breezed over that earlier. So I just want to show you. When we go to the simulation that we just created, the AI engine created a lot of criteria to evaluate the learners on. So if we address each of Kathy's objections, we get 35 points. If we use concrete examples, we get 25 points. And then similarly, if we use a hard close tactic, 20 points get deducted. So this is obviously fully configurable. And whenever we link a coach to a simulation, the coach can see all of these criteria. So yeah, it's pretty informed. And I'm going to show you one more thing. I'm going to go to the metrics tab. And we can see this attempt that we just did. We can see exactly how we did, right? We can see how we did on each criteria. And then if we click into this evaluation, we can see that the AI gave us, generated some overall feedback about the attempt, but it also gave its reasoning for how we performed on each criteria. So we didn't address Kathy's 3 objections. And here's the AI's reasoning why. So over here in, when we go over to the evaluator, it can see how we did. It can see everything I just showed you. So it knows how we did on each criteria too. Can you tell me which criteria I struggled with? I don't know if she'll be that direct because she is in coaching mode, so she might want us to arrive there. You missed points on 3 big ones. So yeah, super rich context the coach has to actually help you for the simulation. Yeah, so that's that. I want to show you another thing really quick. So I'm going to refresh this. And I'm going to talk to the coach before we start talking to the agent and giving it context. All right, we know how to access the coach. I'm going to open up the coach now. What even is devlin.ai? Sales coaching platform? Not exactly. How is it different from branching scenarios? Okay, it has enough context to know that. Can you upload it as a SCORM package? I don't have that detail right now. So the AI doesn't know because we never gave it that knowledge. So I want to show you the last piece here. This is a feature I've been very hard at work on. You can now add knowledge bases to the coaches or the simulation so they can kind of reference more rich knowledge. So for a coach, you can go to that knowledge tab. This is for everyone on the core plan. Yes, because this is a more expensive feature to run. And then notice I created this devlin.ai folder. We can upload documents. I uploaded this like knowledge base FAQ document. So all I need to do is click on this whole knowledge base, and now it should have access to that. So if I hop back over, it might already have access right now. How about now? Do you know if I can upload it as a SCORM package? Yes, you can publish it as a SCORM package. So now it actually has that knowledge in memory, so it knows, a lot more details. And that document that I uploaded, let's see. I linked that for you too if you want to try that. Here's the PDF. So here's kind of what I fed it. And you can upload like documents that are 1,000 pages long as well. Okay, so there we go. So do you all want to move into Q&A? It's under 30 minutes. We kind of fit all of this in. I know we went pretty quickly. Or do you want to see how we can get this reporting a score to the learning management system? I haven't showed that live before. It's a little, it's relatively easy. It's just, there's a step you could potentially miss. LMS? Okay, I'll show you how quick and easy it is. So first things first, I want to show you the why behind this. So when we go to publish the experience, when we click on the LMS tab, look at these properties here. So we're publishing the entire project, and it's tracking how many slides we viewed. So once we've viewed 4 out of 4 slides, Storyline is going to send to the LMS that we have completed the learning experience, right? We can make it even more explicit by looking at this reporting and tracking. So we're reporting to the LMS. We're going to send passed or incomplete. And in this tracking tab, we're looking at when the learner has viewed a certain number of slides. Okay, so the way that our simulation reports the score to the learning management system is it kind of uses the SCORM connection that Storyline already has, and it sends its own score and pass-fail based on what you've configured on the backend for devlin.ai. So we don't want Storyline to send a completion of a score of 100% or a completion if they haven't actually completed the simulation, even if they viewed all of the slides. So some of y'all might know what we have to do here. Anyone want to say it in the chat before I show the way? But here is what to do. So we can't let the user see 100% of the slides. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into Story View. I'm going to right click and I'm going to click on New Scene. And now we have no triggers bringing learners to this slide. So they never will be able to view, right, 5 out of 5 slides. So Storyline will never send that completion on its own. So that's the first step. Just add a slide in your course that the learner can never get access to. And then on your final results slide, we're going to add a JavaScript trigger. Okay, so on this slide where we know the score is already in place, we're going to click on create a new trigger. It's going to be an execute JavaScript trigger. And then click on this red JavaScript text right here so we can actually set the JavaScript. And from memory, I believe it is literally just send results to LMS, open parentheses, close parentheses, and that's it. It will send the results to the LMS. So the capitalization is really important here. If you want to see exactly what to report, you can go to the simulation, go to the publishing tab. And again, I have that full implementation guide kind of built into the tool. So we'll scroll down. Here's where it says it's step 5. So send results to LMS. You can copy it and you can paste it exactly if you want to make sure you get it exactly right. So we'll copy it, paste it. But yeah, the capitalization is important. So now I'll click OK. We want this to trigger whenever the timeline starts on this slide, right? It just needs to happen after we know the results are in. So the results are in at this point. Now I'm going to publish. We're going to choose LMS/LRS. These defaults are all fine. I'm going to go ahead and click on publish. Now we want to zip it. Yeah, we can only upload zip files. Then I'll click save. And now in Storyline, I'm going to be using SCORM Cloud. You can, of course, use whatever LMS you already have access to. We're going to click on add content, import a SCORM. I'm going to browse my computer to find that file. Let's see, this is the latest one I just created. We're going to be uploading the zipped file, obviously, not the story file. We'll click on import course after that. And after this, we are ready to go, and we'll move into Q&A. But I'll show you that it works really quick just so you can see how easy that part was. SCORM Cloud is open right here. I'm going to go back to the library. Here's the one that we just uploaded. I'm going to click on launch. Notice we have no score or anything reported yet. We'll launch the course. We're almost there. I'm obviously not going to do the whole thing. I'm just going to do a little bit so we can score some points. And then I'll end it and we'll see the score report back. Okay, start call.
Hi, thanks for making time. I'll be honest, I've been burned by AI tools that promised a lot and delivered a fancy chatbot. So I've got some questions before I decide if this is worth my team's time.
Of course, I'd be happy to help you. What's your first question?
Let's start with the basics. What exactly does devlin.ai do, and how is it different from what I could build in Storyline?
It makes it so your learners can actually practice having real conversations. So whereas Storyline is a bit more static, this lets you add an AI practice layer so your learners can practice, just like they would talking to a real customer.
Okay, so it's
All right, the results are loading. Once they're done getting loaded, they'll be reported back into Storyline. And then on the next slide, as soon as that JavaScript fires, it will report them to the LMS. So I'm going to click continue. And that 10% should have just been reported back. Obviously, the coach just got the data as well, wants to talk about our horrible score. We will exit though, and we should see the score pop up right here. There we go, 10%, took us a minute and a half, and we failed. So what do we think? I'm going to take a look at the chat. We'll see what the questions are. This works with SCORM 1.2 and SCORM 2004, but in my demo, I just did 1.2. So, okay. So was it easier than we expected? Any confusing parts? You excited to try it with your own content? And no, of course not, Terry. So your documents are not available to anyone. They're scoped only to your simulations. But anyone who has access to the simulation could be asking it questions, and it could be giving some of that info. But yeah, everything we're designing is for like enterprise rollouts. It's designed to work with proprietary data. So if you have more specific questions about that, happy to get into it. But yeah, what are our thoughts? Do you want me to go into anything in more detail, or should we dive into Q&A? Yeah, so yeah, everything is very secure. We're getting independent security audit. We're about to have our first report that says, hey, we have all of these controls in place. It's been externally verified. Everything is processed and stored in the US. No AI models are getting trained on your data. No other users have access to your data. So everything is very secure. Yeah, feel free to experiment. So whenever you create an account, you get some free credits. Voice mode can burn through them pretty quickly, but if you do text-based simulations and text-based coaches, those credits will last you quite a while. Are you billed per learner use or per build? So actually, you are billed based off of the AI usage. So if 1,000 learners use it for 1 minute, it's going to be cheaper than if one learner uses it for 2,000 minutes. Yes, this definitely works outside of an LMS, David. So whenever you publish the coach or the simulations, The easier and more accessible link is just a standalone web URL that you can share with anyone. The LMS is just something I hadn't showed off yet on these live workshops, but yeah, you can definitely just share it as a public link. Yes, Mediha, you can upload content to the simulation in addition to the coach, and we have some people using that in really interesting ways. So a use case I'm really excited about is a government agency needs their employees to be able to interview people who run these services. And there's a 750-page document outlining how these services should be run. So we're building a sim where the character knows that they need to underperform slightly so that the interviewer can catch it, but we can't say in advance what questions the interviewer might ask because, again, it's across 750 pages of documents. So the AI character knows that they have to underperform in specific general areas. We, as the interviewer, ask that character a question. It can pull the documentation from the 750-page document, and then it knows, hey, I have to underperform slightly, so here are the ways I'm going to underperform based on this knowledge I just got back. So yeah, really cool use cases there. Other use cases with the knowledge base, this isn't live yet, but I am going to make the knowledge base available to the evaluator and to the AI wizard. So you can kind of give it, that same 750-page document and say, hey, I need to generate some simulations and coaches based on this document. And then it can kind of work in the background for you and generate them first draft from your specific content. So good question there. And this feature too, I should mention, is in beta. I literally just rolled it out late last night, and we are warming up the API that we use to do the embeddings. So right now it's really great for testing and smaller learner rollouts, but before rolling it out to over 100 people, give us 4 to 6 weeks. We got to kind of warm up our API key for more usage on this pretty state-of-the-art embedding model that we're using. So yeah, the performance should be really, really good. It's just don't roll it out for volume yet. We're going to treat it as a beta for now. But within a month or so, it should be ready to go. Yes, Hannah, you can track the learner's actual responses. So all of the transcripts are available on that metrics tab. Just scroll down, click on one of the past performances, and you can see the full transcript and how it was graded. Elizabeth, is there a feature to hear the voice interaction between the AI and the learner? There is not. So we're not actually storing that audio data. And we did that as an enterprise security piece. We could potentially enable that for you. That is something we could do. We do have access to that data. We're just not storing it by default just for privacy concerns. A good question. So you can see the transcript. You can't hear the full conversation yet. If that was a hard requirement, let me know. Oh, I also wanted to mention, if anyone is evaluating this for their team, I have opened up space on my calendar. So I just shared a book a call link. It's also available at devlin.ai. If you need this for bigger rollouts, over 1,000 people, or if you want to do it for a few hundred people in voice mode, book a call with me first. I'll help you scope it out. Yeah, we've been doing this for a few months. We're in a lot of great conversations. So happy to work with you if you want to be one of the earlier adopters of this platform. But it's been moving fast and it's very exciting. Can you sync that with the LMS? So Hannah, through SCORM, you cannot store full transcripts. So SCORM is more limited in the data you can store. If you use XAPI, if you have a learning record store, we could send their transcripts via XAPI. But right now, your best options are seeing it on the devlin.ai platform, downloading it as a CSV, and then importing it wherever you need it. Or as part of an enterprise plan, we can do Power BI export and syncing in real time with your business intelligence tools. Chris, does the AI need to be on the active layer to interact? For example, if you were simulating a tool. I would probably handle that with that is a demo we're going to be building soon. For voice mode, oh yeah, that little pop-up that comes up, as long as that pop-up is live, we should be good. But I would want to test that one more specifically, Chris. But it's definitely something that could be live very quickly if it's not live already. Because the coach, works that same way. It kind of reloads and holds its place so that you can put the coach on a different slide or a different layer and it still knows what's going on. All right, Deborah, in the knowledge base, can you connect a link instead of a document, say a link to a company website? So not right now, right? I think the way to do it would just be unless you wanted it to kind of go to the company website and crawl the company's website and pull as much information as possible. That's an interesting idea. We cannot do that right now. That is theoretically something we can add. But today, what would work is if you downloaded that web page as a PDF, for example, and uploaded it, or just like highlight it all and copy and paste it in. That would be the way to get that information in right now. But yeah, let me know if you have any follow up on that request. Do you want to just share a URL and it can just like scrape that single page, or do you want it to like find all the pages across the company's domain? Philip, do you really want the coaching to happen at the same time as the performance? How would you discern the validity of the response? Wouldn't you want to see the person's independent performance? Yeah, I think that's a very valid use. I think a lot of people are just going to use the coach for the debrief. It was just an early technical challenge for myself because, yeah, we've helped people build a lot of scenario-based learning where they can kind of access that support if they need it while they're trying to answer a question. And so I wanted to build that out. In an AI enabled way, right? Make this support be a bit more dynamic, more personalized. But yeah, that's completely designer configurable, right? If you don't want to make the coach accessible while they're doing it, you don't have to. And you, of course, can keep that support a little more vague by using the coaching approach. And then finally, you can even hide the grading criteria from the coach during real-time mode so it doesn't know how the learner is getting assessed. So it can try to be helpful based on the knowledge you share with it, but it doesn't know how to speak exactly to the test, for example. So a few different levers to control just how much the coach can give away while the learners are completing the simulation. Hannah, can you guardrail the knowledge so it doesn't use the web, only the knowledge-based content? Yes. So we are not doing web searches at all. It's just the base model, with the base information it has from when the model was trained, and then the knowledge base. And you saw, right, when I was demoing that, when I asked it, can devlin.ai publish to the LMS? The coach is like, I don't know. I don't have that information. So it's pretty honest when it doesn't know something. It just does the best that it can with the context available. So if your learner is asking something that is in your context, it's going to draw on what you've made available to it. Terry, our documents we upload available to others outside of me? Of course not. Yeah, we have external auditors who review our security basis, so that would never fly. Your knowledge-based content is only accessible to your simulations and coaches. Marie, you're thinking of a different use case. Can you specify different tones of voice? For example, you're building a sim for managing dementia-related behaviors. This includes escalating emotions and aggressiveness. Yes, the simulation can definitely do that. So in your character instructions, talk about, just explain that they can get aggressive very easily, can get emotionally heightened, can get angry. The models are very good at portraying anger and frustration, and they can be kind of sarcastic and mocking, and they have big personalities when you prompt them in that way. Priya, can this be embedded in other authoring tools or even in Claude? Yes, it absolutely can. So anywhere that you can embed a web object, you can embed these simulations. I think the next YouTube video Sabrina is going to do on our channel is use Claude Design to create a software simulation and then embed the AI and then embed one of these voice simulations as part of that so we can practice talking to the AI-powered customer while completing this software simulation. So we're going to be combining this with the other AI generated, tools you can use to generate AI content. So Storyline is just the big one, the one that everyone seems to be using, but you can put it anywhere. Tiana, is it possible to record the agent's responses and score through an LMS like Absorb? So the agent's responses, no, unless you're using XAPI. Again, SCORM can't handle that, but score, absolutely. Score, pass, fail, duration, all of that can get reported back to any LMS. Nick, can the coach have a voice interface? It absolutely can. It doesn't today. I wanted to see what the demand was like for that. Obviously, if you're doing a voice simulation and a voice coach, I don't think that would work. I think, they wouldn't know who you're talking to. But if you wanted to kind of use the coach voice-based for the debrief or as a standalone thing, that's definitely something we can do. It just uses a lot more credits. It's, pricier to run than text mode. And then Althea, again, how does the agent not go rogue and start pulling in answers from outside the bounds of the project? So that's going to come down to the prompting, to the knowledge that you provide it. Of course, there is a chance that if the user asks something that is completely outside of the content context, it could give a best shot. But from my testing, it's been pretty honest about when it's not confident and when it's not sure about something. So I would say, test it for what you expect your learner's usage would look like, but it's pretty solid at staying focused and keeping those answers in bounds, I would say. Okay, those are all the questions on the questions tab. So thank you for all the good questions. I'm going to look back over in the main chat. Okay, I guess we've answered the guardrail piece. How much info can the knowledge base contain? So Marie, it's virtually, there's not really a hard limit. I mean, there are limits based off of your like account tier, but at like the enterprise level, if you needed to have like thousands of documents, 1,000 pages each, we could work with that very comfortably. So let me know if you have like, millions of pages of documents. We could still make it work. It would just take a little bit more engineering effort on my end. But for all use cases I can imagine, we're enterprise ready, I would say. Okay, question about using in K-12 in Canada. Can Devlin AI be configured to send all LLM calls to a customer-provided endpoint in Bedrock? In Canada, we cannot use OpenAI US in schools for privacy reasons. Theoretically, yes. The only issue is the voice mode, right? We use 11 Labs for voice mode, and that's not on Bedrock. So yeah, let's talk about it though, Justine. If you send me an email, devlin@devlin.ai, we could talk about that. But yeah, for enterprise agreements, we can do some bring your own key and do stuff like that for governance purposes. But yeah, the voice mode is the trickier part. Antoinette, what about embedding in PowerPoint for asynchronous courses? I don't use PowerPoint too much. Can you? You can probably embed a web object in there, right? PowerPoint users, I don't see why you wouldn't be able to. So you could probably embed that there. There's not like an integration where it's like when it's complete, it will automatically jump to the next slide. But as long as if you put a button there and just trust the learner when to click it, that should be good. Deborah, use a company link for the knowledge base in HeyGen and it worked really well. That is very helpful for me to know. And again, just to reference, just link to that page. It can add that page to the knowledge base, or do you want it to kind of crawl the whole site? Carrie, is there a plan for users uploading a file to be evaluated by the coach? It's interesting you ask that because people have asked questions about like, can we send other information to the coach? Like, for example, if there's a storyline quiz completely separate from the AI simulation, what if we want to send their responses from that to the evaluator? So I've been thinking through this solution in that where we could send storyline variables to the evaluator and then in the backend define how each of these storyline variables should be evaluated by the coach and like which criteria they should map to. So it sounds a little complex, but I hadn't heard someone ask about file uploads yet. Would these be like text-based file uploads? Because that should be a pretty lightweight add if that's something we need. If they upload something, we just convert it into text and then we evaluate the text. That's doable. I'm curious about your use case. If you can send me more details via email, or if you have a big rollout or something that needs that, you can book a call. Frank, is there a way to visualize the remaining time in the simulation for the learner for voice interface conversations? I found it abruptly ends on the time limit you set with voice. Yeah, it can be a little abrupt. There obviously is that counter there. What else are you thinking? Like maybe it like set some storyline variables and there's like 1 minute left, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute left, and you can kind of trigger some animations in storyline. Or would you like that timer to kind of like flash or pulse or something as they're getting low? Because yeah, we have some options there. Just let me know what you think would be helpful, but that's good to know. Abrupt ending. It can be abrupt for sure. David, have I tried this in Rise using something like Mighty or an object embed? Yeah, you can absolutely embed these into Rise. So in the publishing tab, there's like a code, embed code plus instructions on how to add it to Rise. You don't even need to use Mighty or anything like that. Deborah, do you need two separate slides for the coach, one for coaching and one for the feedback? No, it can all be on one storyline slide. So, right, we had a continue button and then it jumps to the like results screen where you can see the debrief. We also could have just opened back up that layer and the debrief could have happened right there. And you don't even need it to be on a separate layer. You could have like the voice mode here and the coach right here and see them both on the same slide. So no limitations on that. Philip, it's crazy. All you need is an embed code. Where can we learn more about configuring the XAPI for this? So the current use of XAPI is pretty minimal. There's an option to export the simulation as an XAPI package, and it sends not super in-depth information. Basically, the same stuff as you're getting from SCORM. If you do need it to export like the full conversation via XAPI, send me an email and I'll see what your use case is and see if I can make sure it can accommodate that. Hannah, sorry, but can the coach just debrief at the end? Yes. So that is something you can configure. They do not need to do the real-time support at all. You can make it so that, we do the simulation, we click next, we see the coach, and then the first message from the coach is that debrief saying, hey, your results are in. I see you scored a 80%. Good job, you passed. But when the character said this, how do you think your response landed? So I would want something that would report like a short answer question does in Rise. I'm not sure what you mean by that piece. Like if you mean report to the LMS or just like grade them on a short answer response, for example. But yeah, thank you all for hanging out here with me. We have 5 minutes left. I think we caught up on all of the questions. So Alyssa, you love the demo of a voice coach while the learner does a system simulation. I was thinking actually even a voice simulation. So not even the coach. It was like, we're talking to a simulated customer about a problem they're having, and then we're having to log information about that problem while we're doing it. That's kind of what I was thinking there. But a voice coach is a good idea too, where it can kind of guide you as you go. Leanne, the conservative estimate for voice credit usage per minute is 150. The real life practice usage is more like under 130 per minute. And so then often a fully completed like 10-turn text simulation will be half of that, will be maybe like 70 credits or so. So a full text simulation is usually less credits than 1 minute of voice simulation. Deborah, you built one of these with the coach and it's really slick. Give it a try. I want to see what you built. Sounds pretty cool. Alyssa, you created call center training. Cool. I'd like to see that. Hannah, is there a way to time out the learner? Yes. So whenever you turn on voice mode, the default is 5-minute sessions. Right now you can drag that up to 15 minutes. That's just a soft cap. We have some people wanting to do 25-minute voice sessions. So that's just something we can raise. But yeah, so that's kind of what Frank was talking about. When you get to the limit, it's just like a hard stop. And then it sends everything to the evaluator and evaluates you based on what you have completed. And there's a timer that like counts down for the learner at the top of the widget. So yes, good question. You can time them out. Okay. Very cool. This has been fun. Again, the knowledge base and some of that SCORM export stuff is available on the core plan. If you do want to join, would love the support. Otherwise, feel free to test it out on the free plan. If your team might want it, we can talk about trials and stuff like that. If you book a call with me, we can see where it goes. But in a lot of ways, we're just getting started with this tool. So all of your feedback and requests, everything you send me, that's what I'm going to be using to keep making the tool better and more useful for instructional designers. So yeah, I don't want everyone to have to kind of use Cloud Code and spend 3 months learning how to do all the complex stuff on the back end and figure out the security and all of that. I want to let instructional designers do what they do best, right? If you are a techie instructional designer, you can still do way cooler things with this in Storyline than someone who isn't as developer focused. But if you also just want to feed it some content, generate a practice simulation in 15 minutes and be able to share it with your learners, I'm trying to make that possible too. So really excited to show you where I'm headed with all of this. Thanks for seeing where things are at today. I'll keep an eye out for your feedback. And if you create something cool, please share it with me, right? Email it to me, tag me on LinkedIn, whatever you want to do. I'd love to help how I can and see what you're creating with it. Keeps me going. So thank you, everyone. I will talk to you soon. Have a great rest of your weekend. Bye-bye for now.